single dad stops to fix a millionaire CEO's car on a deserted mountain road. He refuses her money, gives her a kind smile, and drives away. But as Claire Donovan watches his taillights fade into the distance, something clicks. That voice, those eyes, the way he moved. And suddenly, she realizes he's not just some stranger. He's the first love she lost 15 years ago, the one she never stopped thinking about. And he doesn't even recognize her. Now, before we continue, let us know in the comments section where in the world you're tuning in from. We love seeing how far our stories reach. And if this story speaks to you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. The Claire had tried the ignition 4 times already. Each time the result was the same. Silence. Not even a sputter. Just dead. Expensive metal refusing to cooperate. She stepped out of the car, her heels crunching against the gravel shoulder. The mountain stretched endlessly in both directions, beautiful and completely useless. Her phone showed 1 bar, then none, then 1 again. A cruel tease. "Of course," she whispered. Of all the days. The irony wasn't lost on her. This morning she'd stood in front of 40 executives, closed a deal worth millions. She'd commanded that room with confidence, precision, authority. And now she couldn't even get her car to start. That's when she heard the engine. An old pickup truck, paint faded from years of sun and work, rolled to a stop behind her car. The door creaked open, and a man stepped out. He was tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a work shirt with grease stains on the sleeves and jeans that had seen better days. His face was weathered but kind, with lines around his eyes that suggested he smiled often. He looked at her car, then at her, and tilted his head slightly. "Engine trouble?" he asked. Claire felt a flutter of something, relief maybe, or caution. "It won't start. I don't know what's wrong with it." "Mind if I take a look?" She hesitated for only a second. "Please." He walked over, moving with the easy confidence of someone who'd spent his life working with his hands. He popped the hood without asking, leaning in to inspect the engine. Claire stood back, watching him work, and that's when it started, that strange, nagging feeling in the back of her mind. Something about him felt familiar. "When's the last time you had the battery checked?" he asked, not looking up. I'm not sure. I just bought this car 6 months ago." "Could be a loose terminal. Let me see if I've got something in the truck." He walked back to his vehicle, rummaged through a toolbox in the bed, and returned with a wrench. Claire watched his hands as he worked. Steady, capable, sure of every movement. There was something about the way he carried himself. Something that tugged at a memory she couldn't quite grasp. "I'm Claire, by the way," she said. He glanced up briefly, offering a small smile. "Ethan." Ethan? The name didn't ring any bells. But that smile. God, that smile. It was warm and genuine, the kind of smile that made you feel like everything would be okay. She'd seen that smile before, she was sure of it. "You live around here?" she asked, trying to keep the conversation going, trying to figure out why he felt so familiar. "About 20 minutes down the road. Run an auto shop in town." He tightened something with a wrench, then straightened up. "Try it now." Claire slid back into the driver's seat and turned the key. The engine roared to life, smooth and perfect, as if it had never failed her at all. "Oh my God," she breathed. Thank you so much." Ethan closed the hood and wiped his hands on his jeans. "Just a loose battery terminal. Happens sometimes." Claire stepped out of the car, reaching for her purse. "Let me pay you. Seriously, how much do I owe you?" "Nothing." No, really, I insist. It took 2 minutes, Ethan said, shaking his head. I'm not taking your money for tightening a bolt. There was no arguing with him. Claire could see that. She pulled out one of her business cards instead, holding it out to him. Then, at least take this. If you ever need anything at all, please call me. Ethan took the card, glancing at it briefly. His eyebrows rose slightly when he read the title beneath her name. CEO, Donovan Enterprises. Well, he said, tucking the card into his pocket. I hope the rest of your drive goes smoother. Thank you again, really. He nodded, gave her one more of those warm smiles, and walked back to his truck. Claire stood there, watching as he climbed in, started the engine, and pulled back onto the road. She watched his taillights fade into the distance, and that's when it hit her. That smile, that kindness, the way he'd looked at her, really looked at her, like she was a person and not just a title or a dollar sign. She knew him. Her breath caught in her throat. Her mind raced backward, sifting through years of memories, searching for where she'd seen that face before. And then, like a photograph developing in slow motion, it came into focus. 15 years ago. College. The library steps. She'd been walking back to her dorm late one night when a group of drunk guys had cornered her, making crude comments, blocking her path. She'd been terrified, frozen, unsure what to do. And then he'd appeared. A guy from her physics class, someone she'd barely spoken to. And he'd stepped between her and them with a quiet, commanding presence, and that made them back off. He'd walked her back to her dorm that night. They'd talked for hours. And in those hours, Claire had felt something she'd never felt before. Seen, understood, safe. His name had been Ethan. Ethan Harris. Claire's hands were shaking as she pulled out her phone. She stared at his business card, still clutched in her other hand, her heart pounding against her ribs. It was him. After all these years, it was really him. And he didn't remember her at all. Claire didn't sleep that night. She lay in her king-sized bed in her empty penthouse, staring at the ceiling, replaying every second of their encounter on that mountain road. The way Ethan had looked at her. Kind, helpful, but distant. Like she was just another stranded motorist. Another stranger. He didn't remember her. The realization cut deeper than she'd expected. 15 years ago, she'd been nobody. A scared freshman with second-hand clothes, and a scholarship she couldn't afford to lose. But that night on the library steps, when those men had cornered her, when Ethan had stepped in without hesitation, she'd felt like somebody. Like she mattered. They'd talked until dawn that night. About dreams, fears, the future. She'd told him things she'd never told anyone. And when the sun came up, he'd kissed her, soft and gentle, like she was something precious. Then he was gone. She'd searched for him, asked around campus. But Ethan Harris had simply vanished, and eventually Claire had to accept that whatever they'd shared was just a beautiful moment. Nothing more. Except it had never felt like nothing. Not to her. Now he was back, and she was invisible to him. Claire grabbed her phone off the nightstand. 3 a.m. She pulled up Google, typed in his name. Harris Auto Repair appeared immediately. Reviews, photos, a simple website. There was a picture of Ethan standing in front of the shop, arms crossed, that same quiet smile. Then she found his Facebook page. Public profile. Photos of a little girl with dark curls and his smile. Emma, probably. Pictures of school plays, birthday parties, father-daughter camping trips. A simple life. A good life. No mention of a wife. No woman in any recent photos. Claire's chest tightened. He'd built a whole world without her. And why wouldn't he? She'd been one night in his life, one conversation, one kiss. But God, she'd never forgotten him. Her finger hovered over the message button. What would she even say? Hey, remember me? You saved my life once, and I've been measuring every man against you for 15 years? She closed the app. This was insane. She was being insane. But the next morning, Claire found herself driving back toward that mountain town. She told herself it was just to thank him properly, to repay the kindness. Nothing more. Harris Auto Repair was a modest building on Main Street, sandwiched between a hardware store and a coffee shop. Claire parked across the street, watching through the window as Ethan worked on a car, his movements efficient and practiced. She almost turned around, almost drove away. Then Ethan looked up, saw her car, and waved. There was no backing out now. The shop smelled like oil and metal. A woman at the front desk smiled at her. Help you with something? I'm actually looking for Ethan. Claire? She turned. Ethan was walking toward her, wiping his hands on a rag, looking surprised but pleased. Hi, she said, suddenly feeling foolish. I hope I'm not interrupting. Not at all. Is everything okay with the car? Uh-huh. The car's perfect. She held up a paper bag. I brought lunch to say thank you, if you have time. Something flickered across Ethan's face. Hesitation, maybe, or uncertainty. He glanced back at the shop, then at her. Yeah, he said finally. Yeah, I can take a break. They sat on a bench outside the coffee shop next door. Claire had brought sandwiches from an upscale deli in the city, suddenly aware of how out of place they looked in this small town. You didn't have to do this, Ethan said, unwrapping his sandwich. I wanted to. They ate in silence for a moment. Claire's mind raced, searching for the right words, the right way to ask if he remembered. Can I ask you something? Ethan said quietly. Claire's heart jumped. Of course. Yesterday, when you gave me your card, Claire Donovan, CEO. You're that Claire Donovan. I looked you up last night. He wasn't meeting her eyes. You've done incredible things. Built an empire. Why are you really here? I told you. To thank you. People like you don't drive an hour to bring lunch to a small-town mechanic. His voice was gentle but firm. So, what is this really about? Claire's breath caught. She could see it now. The walls he'd built. The assumption that someone like her couldn't possibly have genuine interest in someone like him. You think I'm slumming it? She asked softly. That this is some kind of charity? I don't know what to think. Ethan finally looked at her. You're a CEO? I fix cars and go home to a kid and frozen dinners. We live in different worlds. We didn't always. The words hung in the air between them. Ethan's expression shifted. Confusion, then concentration, like he was trying to solve a puzzle. What do you mean? Claire's hands trembled. This was it. Westfield University, 15 years ago. We had physics together, Professor Morrison's class. Ethan's eyes widened slightly. I was only there for a year. I know. You left in the spring. She took a breath. Do you remember October 23rd? Outside the library? She watched his face carefully, saw the moment his memory stirred, saw him searching backward through time. There was a girl, he said slowly. Some guys were hassling her. I walked her home. That was me, Ethan. He stared at her, really stared, like he was seeing her for the first time. His sandwich forgotten, his whole body still. Claire, he whispered, you're... That was you? I had brown hair back then. Glasses. I was 40 pounds lighter because I could barely afford to eat. Oh my God. Ethan ran a hand through his hair. I looked for you. After I had to leave school, I tried to find you, but I didn't have your number, didn't know your last name. You were just Claire from physics class. Something broke open in Claire's chest. You looked for me? Of course I did. His voice cracked slightly. That night, Claire, that wasn't just some random thing for me. We talked for hours. I thought maybe. He trailed off, and Claire saw it all over his face. The same longing she'd carried for 15 years. The same what if that had haunted her. I thought about you constantly, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. When you disappeared, I tried to find you too. But you were gone. My mom got diagnosed with cancer. I had to come home, had to take care of her. I couldn't. He stopped, emotion thick in his throat. I couldn't afford to stay in school. Couldn't afford anything. So I left. I'm so sorry. And now you're here, Ethan said, looking at her like she was something impossible. After all this time, you're actually here. I recognized you the second you smiled at me on that road, Claire admitted. I've never forgotten that smile. Ethan reached across the bench, his hand hovering near hers, not quite touching. I can't believe it's you. I can't believe I didn't see it. I look different. No. He shook his head. You look exactly the same. I just couldn't let myself believe that someone like you would remember someone like me. Someone like you saved my life, Ethan. And then he made me feel like I mattered, like I was worth something. Tears pricked her eyes. How could I ever forget that? His hand closed over hers, warm and solid and real. And for the first time in 15 years, Claire felt like she'd finally come home. Over the next 2 weeks, Claire found reasons to drive to that mountain town. Business meetings she could have done remotely, errands that didn't really need running. Each time she'd stop by the coffee shop next to Ethan's auto repair, and somehow he always knew she was there. They'd meet for lunch, sometimes dinner. They talked about everything. The years they'd lost, the lives they'd built separately, the strange twist of fate that had brought them back together, but something was holding Ethan back. Claire could feel it in the way he'd pull away when they got too close, the way he'd change the subject when she mentioned the future. It was a Friday evening when everything came to a head. Claire had driven up after work, still in her business suit, and found Ethan closing up the shop. Hey, he said, surprised. I wasn't expecting you today. I wanted to see you. She stepped closer. Is that okay? Yeah, of course. But his smile didn't quite reach his eyes. Ethan, what's wrong? He locked the shop door, not looking at her. Nothing's wrong. Don't do that. Don't shut me out. He turned to face her then, and the pain in his eyes nearly broke her. Claire, what are we doing here? What do you mean? I mean this. He gestured between them. You and me. What is this? I thought we were. She stopped, searching his face. What do you want it to be? Ethan laughed, but there was no humor in it. What I want doesn't matter. Look at you. Look at me. You drive a car that costs more than I make in 2 years. You run a company with offices in 6 countries. I fix cars and go home to an 8-year-old who needs help with her homework. So we don't make sense, Claire. We never did. The words hit her like a physical blow. That's not true, isn't it? Ethan's voice rose slightly. 15 years ago, you were going places, and I was the guy who had to drop out. Now you're at the top, and I'm still here in the same small town, doing the same small town things. What kind of life can I offer you? I'm not asking you to offer me anything. But you should be. He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. You deserve someone who can keep up with you. Someone who fits into your world. My world is empty, Ethan. Claire's voice cracked. It's full of meetings and contracts and people who only care about what I can do for them. You're the first person in 15 years who's looked at me and seen me. Just me. That's not enough. Why not? Because you'll wake up one day and realize you settled. Ethan's jaw clenched. You'll realize you gave up your life for a mechanic in a nowhere town, and you'll resent me for it. Is that what you really think? Claire stepped closer. That I'm here out of some misplaced nostalgia? That I've been driving an hour each way to see you because I feel sorry for you? I don't know what to think anymore. Then let me make it simple. Claire's voice was steady now, despite the tears threatening to fall. That night, 15 years ago, you made me feel safe. You made me feel like I mattered. And then you were gone, and I spent years trying to find that feeling again. I built an empire, Ethan. I conquered boardrooms and closed deals and proved to everyone that I was worth something. But I was never happy. Not really. Because none of it meant anything without someone to share it with. Ethan was silent, his throat working. And then you appeared on that mountain road, Claire continued. And for the first time in 15 years, I felt like I could breathe again. So no, this isn't about pity or nostalgia or me slumming it with a local mechanic. This is about me finally finding the one person who makes me feel whole. Claire, I'm not done. She closed the distance between them. You think I'm too good for you? You think I deserve better? Let me tell you something about what I deserve. I deserve someone who looks at me like I'm a person, not a profit margin. Someone who fixes my car without expecting anything in return. Someone who talks to his daughter about dinosaurs and takes her camping on weekends. Someone who's kind and honest and real. Tears were streaming down her face now. I deserve you, Ethan Harris. And if you can't see that, if you're going to let your fear and your pride get in the way of what we could have, then you're right. Maybe we don't make sense. The silence stretched between them, heavy and painful. Claire waited, her heart hammering, everything laid bare. Then Ethan moved. 3 quick steps, and he was cupping her face in his hands, his thumbs brushing away her tears. I'm scared, he whispered. I know. I'm scared of not being enough, of disappointing you, of you waking up one day and regretting this. Ethan. Claire placed her hands over his. I've regretted a lot of things in my life. But you? You could never be one of them. He kissed her then. Soft at first, tentative, like he was afraid she might disappear. Then deeper. 15 years of longing and loss and love, pouring into that single moment. When they finally pulled apart, Ethan rested his forehead against hers. I have a daughter, he said quietly. She comes first, always. I wouldn't expect anything less. And I'm not moving to the city. This is my home, Emma's home. Claire smiled. I have a very capable team. I can work remotely. You do that? For you, yes. Ethan pulled back slightly, studying her face like he was memorizing it. This is crazy. The best things usually are. My daughter's going to have so many questions. I hope so. I want to know everything about her. Something shifted in Ethan's expression. The last wall coming down. The final fear letting go. She's going to love you. How do you know? Because I do. The words came out raw and honest. I loved you 15 years ago, Claire, and I never stopped. I just buried it deep enough that I could pretend I had. Claire's breath hitched. Say that again. I love you. Ethan smiled, that warm, genuine smile that had haunted her dreams. I've loved you since you fell asleep on my shoulder that night, talking about how you were going to change the world. And you did. You changed mine. I love you too. Claire laughed through her tears. I've been in love with you for 15 years, and I didn't even know if I'd ever see you again. Well, Ethan wrapped his arms around her waist. You're stuck with me now. Promise? Promise. 3 months later, Claire stood in the bleachers of Emma's school, watching the 8-year-old play soccer, or try to play soccer. Emma was more interested in the dandelions growing at the edge of the field than the actual game. Ethan sat beside her, his hand warm in hers. She's terrible at this. She's having fun, that's what matters. Last week she asked if you were going to be her new mom. Claire's heart stuttered. What did you tell her? I told her that was up to you and her to figure out together. Ethan looked at her. But for what it's worth, I'd like that. Someday. When you're ready. Someday soon, Claire said softly. Emma scored an accidental goal. The ball had bounced off her shin while she was picking flowers. She looked up, shocked, then ecstatic, and immediately pointed at Claire and Ethan in the stands. They cheered like she'd won the World Cup. After the game, Emma ran over, grass-stained and glowing. Did you see my goal? We saw, Claire said, crouching down. You were amazing. Can we get ice cream, Dad? Always gets ice cream after games. Ethan laughed. Ice cream it is. Emma grabbed Claire's hand on one side and Ethan's on the other, swinging between them as they walked to the car. And Claire realized something. This was what she'd been searching for all along. Not success or recognition or wealth. Just this. Just them. Just home. That night, after Emma was in bed, Claire and Ethan sat on his back porch, watching the stars appear one by one. I keep thinking about that night, Claire said. 15 years ago. How different everything could have been if you'd stayed. We weren't ready then, Ethan said. I had to go home. You had to build your empire. We had to become who we are now. And who are we now? Ethan smiled, pulling her closer. We're two people who got a second chance, and this time we're not letting it slip away. Claire leaned into him, breathing in the moment, the peace, the rightness of it all. Sometimes love isn't about perfect timing. Sometimes it's about broken down cars and mountain roads, and the courage to recognize the person who's been waiting in your heart all along. Sometimes the stranger who stops to help isn't a stranger at all. Sometimes they're the answer you've been searching for your entire life. And sometimes, just sometimes, you get to keep them. If this story touched your heart, we'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and let us know what you think. And don't forget to subscribe to Soul Story for more incredible tales of love, fate, and second chances. Hit that like button and share this with someone who believes in the power of destiny. Until next time, keep believing in love.